Dogg shot his equipment up.
He shot my equipment up one time.
Wait, literally?
Yeah, we got into an argument, you know what I'm saying?
Literally.
I wasn't ready.
Terrible argument.
Put him in a headlock. He went in there and shot my drum machine. I went in there, bust the TV.
I think that's when we made Ain't No Fun.
That's when we made like that.
Yeah.
Ain't no fun.
And the dog said, "Oh, what? Boom, 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 boom. Now what?" Dad was like, "Ah!"
Rap music may have evolved over time, and it might not be what it once was. But back in the day, some names rang true, and we had true artists who were at the forefront of the culture, including the West Coast group the Dogg Pound. Unfortunately, while their name rang true on the West Coast, their beef also rang loud in the world. The rise of the Dogg Pound. The duo, Kurupt and Daz Dillinger, first met during the making of Dr. Dre's studio album, The Chronicles. At the time, both of them were solo artists trying to make a name for themselves in Death Row Records back in 1992. It was that nigga Daz and Kurupt the Kingpin spitting hard bars. According to Daz, we was still broke when The Chronic came out. They just knew our voices.
Wow. In the beginning, they didn't even know our faces in the beginning.
Wow.
They just knew our voices.
In Inglewood, right there on Century and Van Ness.
Right.
Chronic just dropped. I pull up there. I'm in the passenger seat. I ain't even drive. And I hear some music that's so familiar in the car next door. I mean, next to us as we drive. We at the stoplight, and I look over. I roll the window down. You know this type of roll the window down.
Yeah, that's old school. Yeah. I still got this.
And I'm just looking, and the nigga look, he's bouncing too. He look at me like, "Blood, what you looking at, blood?" I was like, "My bad." This banging bitch. I said, "Oh my God, that's me." He don't even know.
Ice grilling you. That's how
Thank
we mad.
God he didn't know it though. He's like, "Blood, what you
Yeah, we
looking
got
at?"
did like that a bunch of times. Ice-T had to come out and get us in the club one time.
Wow.
Because
They wouldn't let y'all in.
They wouldn't let us in. But
The Chronic ran through 1993, and with Kurupt on 3 tracks and Daz on 6 tracks on the album, everyone knew their names. But it wasn't until June 1993 that the world first heard them as the Dogg Pound, when they made an appearance on Poetic Justice, the soundtrack. For the movie soundtrack, John Singleton actually wanted Snoop on the album, but he couldn't make it happen because Snoop was about to drop his debut album Doggy Style, and as such, he featured the Dogg Pound on the track Don't Give a Fuck. Recounting the origin of their group, Daz said, "I'm a producer, so I peeped it out myself. Me and Kurupt was getting high in Beverly Hills, smoking a good blunt or something, looking at the moon and shit, high as a motherfucker. And I'm like, damn, we should become the Dogg Pound, cause that's where we lived at. That's what we called our home, the Dogg Pound. Then we had the gang, the Dogg Pound, and we said we were gonna represent and start calling ourselves the DPG. And our first song was Niggas Don't Give a Fuck."
And right after the Chronic, Poetic Justice came out, the soundtrack, and they wanted Snoop on it. John Singleton did, and Suge was like, "He about to drop Doggy Style. He can't be on it. He can't be on it." But we got the Dogg Pound. Me and Daz just made a group. After the Chronic, we got together. We were together all the time. You know, we just said, man, we might as well make a group because we were solo in Death Row, each one of them. So we came up with the Dogg Pound. You know, he's Snoop. We the Dogg Pound. And we gonna represent all the homies. We gonna represent the Dogg Pound on the mic. So we became the Dogg Pound. Suge loved it. Dr. Dre loved it. Dogg loved it. So Suge pitched the Dogg Pound to John Singleton and said, "Snoop on the hook." He was like, "Man, anything with Snoop." Bam. And that's how we got our first record of the Dogg Pound, the Poetic Justice soundtrack, Tupac and Janet Jackson. Crazy, right?
Right.
And it was Snoop's record. He gave it to us. He was like, "All right, so Kurupt, you gonna say my first verse, Dad, you say my second verse. Y'all write your own last verse." It's like, damn. So we got a chance to be able to spit one of the Dogg verses. Ooh-wee.
For Kurupt and Daz, it was instant chemistry, and Death Row Records made sure to put their star crew out there. The duo appeared on Snoop's debut album Doggy Style with 3 features, including Doggy Dogg World. Between 1993 and 1994, the group assisted MC Hammer on his The Funky Headhunter album, and it wasn't until 1995 that they released their debut album Dog Food under Death Row Records. The album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and went on to reach double platinum status. Let's Play House was the biggest hit, breaking into the top 50 of the Billboard Hot 100, while New York, New York was an MTV favorite. Tensions with Tupac. After the release of their debut album, Dog Food, the Dogg Pound had arrived and were superstars. Obviously, things should only go up from here, but the rap world is a jungle. There's always a new king ready to take the throne. In 1995, Tupac got bailed out of prison by Suge Knight, and he soon joined Death Row Records. His arrival meant all albums had to be put on hold. At the height of his career, Tupac was beefing with the whole East Coast, and because of that, he soon got beef with some of his Death Row homies. Another factor that had caused massive tensions was the Dogg Pound was hanging with Notorious B.I.G. and Nas, which obviously was going to stir up trouble. Snoop Dogg was distancing himself from Tupac's beef with the East Coast, but regardless, a war was brewing when everyone associated with Death Row and the West Coast got involved.
I'm Snoop Dogg. I never had any beef with anybody from the East. I'm here to make good music. That's what I signed my contract to Death Row Records for, to make good music and perform and put out good albums. I didn't sign a contract to hurt nobody or make people hate me or hate people.
We was listening to the radio, and Snoop and them, he had just went on, I think it was Angie Martinez, and, they asked him the question, how he felt and if, Big and them, how he felt about Puff and them. He was like, them is his homeboys, which they was. He been had a relationship with him, and Pac just, in the midst of hit him up, and the rant that Pac was on, not the rant, but the wave he was on at the time. You know what I mean? And he didn't like it.
And not only that, like what No said, they was homies, but you gotta realize, look at it from Pac's standpoint of view. Now we older.
Right.
And I'm sure if Pac was alive, he would be thinking much differently than he was back then. Him and Snoop would have probably been sat down and talked. But, Pac was angry not only because they said, not just because of that interview. A couple weeks before that, people don't know that Pac and Snoop did songs dissing Biggie. I remember hearing it. You know what I mean? So Pac looking at it like, okay, you dissing songs with me, you riding on my enemies together.
So Snoop had the loyalty of the Dogg Pound, and Tupac had the Outlaws. And this tension did nothing but break Death Row. And this would be the start of the downfall of the Dogg Pound. Members leave Death Row. On September 13th, 1996, Tupac Shakur was tragically killed in Las Vegas. This event marked the beginning of the end for Dogg Pound. On February 28th, 1997, Suge Knight was sentenced to 9 years in prison for parole violations. As the dust settled, it became evident that the financial wealth and success of Death Row seemed like an illusion, and Suge Knight may have orchestrated one of the greatest cons on his artists.
The illusion that Death Row Records was this paradise where everyone got signed and became an immediate millionaire was one of the greatest cons Suge ever pulled.
He wasn't cutting checks. He wasn't paying publishing and royalties. So he did things to pacify us.
Kurupt, as an example, thought that he had come up on a house and thought he had a nice car.
This is a present from Suge.
This is my record company gift.
And then when Suge went to jail, they're towing that car away.
This is my new
All of those deeds were owned by Death Row. They were not owned by the artist.
This is a pure sign that the boat is sinking.
Suge was not, in fact, managing his artists' money well, and that many of them left Death Row broke after having millions of selling albums.
Dog knew it, I knew it, we all knew it. This is over.
I would hear Snoop phone conversations like, that. I want my money.
That pissed me off. All that shit is made up shit. I'm not gonna badmouth nobody because I don't have to. At the end of the day, when the boss away, everybody else plays because they can put shit in their head.
I told Dogg, I'm getting off of Death Row and get the out of here.
Kurupt decided to leave the label in 1998 after filing for bankruptcy. And while many partners would leave, Daz stayed with Death Row to work on his solo projects, which included his debut album, Retaliation, Revenge, and Get Back. At the time, Daz was the only platinum-selling artist remaining on the Death Row roster. Kurupt, on the other hand, signed to an independent label named Entra and released his solo debut, titled Corruption, which had the Cali classic We Can Freak It. A year later, Kurupt and Daz reunited after Daz finally left Death Row Records, and Kurupt would drop his best solo work to date. It's an 18-track album, but it was the hidden bonus track, Calling Out Names, that got the attention of everyone. On the track, Kurupt dissed DMX, Rough Riders, Ja Rule, Foxy Brown, Irv Gotti, and 50 Cent.
And I'ma start calling y'all by name, mother D, mother M. Only X I know's exhibit a RBX extraordinary. Trying to snatch my bitch. You can have the
Too bitch and rich just to come to the West Coast and get stripped down, beat to death, stripped all over a bitch. 50 MCs that ain't worth shit. Get your ass kicked 50 times, beat the 10 cent. I love New York, but the that represents y'all ain't shit in York. They acting like a bitch in York. Buckshot, Noriega, Jigger, cool. Man up was Wu Tang, my cool. Def Squad and Def Jam, but I rule. Or Gotti, I can't wait for Raekwon to break food. Trying to sign Dad's a sign.
On the diss track, he accused his then fiance, rap star Foxy Brown, of cheating on him with DMX, signed Daz. However, it didn't take long for the beef to be settled, as it turned violent on October 17, 1999 at Echo Sounds, a recording studio in Los Angeles. At the time, Daz was working with Kurupt in the studio, but soon stepped out, where he and 8 other people, including rappers The Realist and Act the Fool, were shot at. Unfortunately, Kurupt's bodyguard, 23-year-old Dwayne Draws Dupree, lost his life as he was shot several times in the chest. The general manager of Kurupt's label, Entra Records, released a statement suggesting that the shooting resulted from a possible misinterpretation of a hidden track on Kurupt's forthcoming album, calling out names. So now we have a diss track that turned bloody, even though DMX and Foxy denied any involvement at the time. Kurupt's dissing days were far from over though. In fact, in the coming years, he went from dissing his ops to coming at Daz and the Dogg Pound. Kurupt Season of Beef. For the first time in a long time, the Dogg Pound looked unified in 2001 and had to change their name for copyright purposes since Death Row owned the Dogg Pound. This forced Kurupt and Daz Dillinger to go by different names like DPG, Dogg Pound Gangsters, or refer to their extended crew as the Dogg Pound Gangster Clique, DPGC. Just as they were kicking it off, Suge Knight got out of prison and was ready to cause trouble. His first move after walking out a free man was to get into Kurupt's ear and suggest he sign with Death Row Records. According to Dr. Dre and collaborator Scott Storch, Kurupt was the one member of the crew who was always against going back to Death Row. And since his crew were still at odds with Suge Knight, Kurupt reconsidered. At the time the rumors were making waves, Kurupt and Daz released a video addressing the situation.
There's rumors that
Some say I'm crazy.
he went with Kurupt.
Oh yeah, the streets. I want to hear them. Nate, that went 3 million. Now, what's the rumor?
That you signed with that bro.
Oh, they want to know if I signed with
And
Kurupt.
today's January 7th.
How about this? Don't worry about it, man. How about that? And give me $3 million. Yeah, me and Daz will be right there front and center. You know, Simon hollered at me, man. She'll holler at me. You know what I mean? He want to do some real business. I ain't got no problem with the real business. The rest of the people in the world been trying to shortchange me and Delmar for I don't know how long. Me and Daz ain't going for that shortchange.
He been shortchanging us for years.
Man, look. Still holler at me about doing some real thing. And it's like this. The rest of these motherfuckers game, if this nigga holler at me about real things, how you gonna holler at me and Daz, who is double my wealth, about bullshit? Oh, y'all gotta kiss a dick and eat a dick. I ain't signed nothing.
Kurupt decided to make his decision when he returned to Death Row in 2002. And soon, things got ugly real fast. For Kurupt, it was all from a financial standpoint, since he was dead broke. But for Daz, Snoop, Superfly, Nate Dogg, and the rest of the Dogg Pound gangsters, Kurupt wasn't loyal, and it didn't take long for the diss tracks to start flying. Daz released Eat a Dick Rick, spitting rhymes like, "Eat a dick buck Rick, swallow this you knowing that you a hoe by the way you switch. You ain't true, you wanna battle the crew, cause you let a Pyru break up my crew." Kurupt soon responded with Eat a Dick, F Daz, where he started off with, "Daz, eat a dick, shut the f up. Now ain't this a bitch? He won't shut the f up. One day you was main nigga, the next day it's not the same." He also released No Vaseline Part 2 and sent shots out to Daz, Snoop Dogg, and Superfly, making this beef real personal. Daz, whack ass records. Whack ass Daz, goofy fat ass, black ass badass. What a bitch. I'ma tell you like this. You wanna see Gotti? I'm just too prolific, poetical range, and niggas in danger. Talking about a switch, and now Snoop's dick is smelling like fat ass Daz. Act like a hoe, get treated like one. For Kurupt, leaving Dogg Pound for Death Row wasn't about betrayal, but about getting his family and career straight. It was all business for him, but Daz was having none of that.
Facilitated, but I'm gonna ride whatever they happen, you know. I'ma ride with whatever they gon' ride with.
I'm calling shots in this shit, and I ain't finna let nothing go there. You know what I mean? So it's like Van Am, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like we win the Dogg Pound. It's like, you know, they all do that, but we the kick it. You know what I mean? We the one that sparks shit up. You know what I mean? We the riders in this shit.
And the ones who just moving now, you know what I'm saying?
Like,
they know, everybody know. It ain't even. You ain't gotta even tell them. It ain't a secret.
Couldn't that be real profitable?
Could be real profitable. I got a couple of future albums I wish I could have, like the Chronic reunion. You know what I mean? With everybody that's on the Chronic. You know what I mean? The Dogg Pound reunion. That's another album with some more money. You know what I mean? Just future shit. You know what I mean?
That'll be tight.
So it's just like right now, you know, I be over at the Dog House doing songs with Snoop, and you know what I mean? I'm putting something together, but you know, we Kurupt out and we ain't with it. I'm over there and everything is going real right, you know what I mean? And it's time for us to go out there and do full independence and own this record and put our own units out, you know what I mean? And then we just gotta keep it going. And that's what it's about. He ain't over there owning his records. Somebody else owning them. You know what I mean?
Have you tried to tell? Have you called?
Talk to
have
Kurupt.
you reached out to him and tried?
Look at the gangster video I put out. I got an exclusive interview with Kurupt. You know what I mean? So, you know, I see him again in traffic.
So if he called and apologized.
He been trying to call me. I just never, I just keep on like, I don't want to talk to you. You know what I mean? And I just don't talk to him. I ain't talk to him. And yeah, he been calling, crying, making the song I didn't change. Talk a little shit in the beginning, but at the end of the song, I love you, cuz. You know what I mean? So I ain't with him. I don't need to.
So between 2002 and 2005, disses were flying from both crews. And not just that, some serious threats too. Even Suge's studio got shot at the same time. Daz won a $25 million lawsuit against Suge and Death Row and started clowning Suge and Death Row Records. He had a DVD titled Death Row Killer and released videos making fun of Suge, and even had a scene where they jumped Suge and threw him in the trunk of a car. Pimp slapped, Snoop's response. With the studios and streets going wild, Snoop soon got in the booth to let some things off his chest when he released Pimp Slapped in 2002. The song was a Suge Knight diss, but he also had words for Exhibit, Crooked Eye, and especially Kurupt. Snoop fired shots saying, "Your rappers and artists, tell them, shut it up, cause I'll every last one of them up, especially Kurupt. See, that's my little homeboy, so he knows what's up. He better keep it crippin' and slip his clip in, cause he's tripping. This is official business. Do the same way, leave no witnesses." From the track, it was clear Snoop wasn't trying to end his relationship with Kurupt because, according to him, he's still my homeboy though, so I can't really throw no lashes at Kurupt. I just wanted to check him and let him know. The song is called Pimp Slapped and is there for a reason, cause everybody who I spoke on needed to get slapped. It ain't that I don't love them, it's just that needed to get checked. Luckily, the beef ended in early 2005 when Snoop Dogg held the Protect the West Hip Hop Peace Summit to squash all beefs. West Coast Peace Summit.
At one point, you and Kurupt were at odds, but now y'all are cool as hell.
Yeah.
You know what caused y'all to be cool again after like beefing for a few years?
You know,
I remember when me and you were working on that mixtape together. I went to go see Kurupt, and I'm like, oh well, you know, I just want to say just let you know, me and Daz doing some shit together. You know, we were Daz, and it was kind of tense. You know what I'm saying? And then when I saw y'all was making songs together, I'm like, yeah, that's what's up. Like,
yeah,
I want to see that.
I reached out to him. You know what I mean? 'Cause, you know, I love him. He wanted to reach out to me, but you know what I'm saying? But I reached out to him. It was all Suge Knight doing all that. Yeah. Okay, no, stop. You know, that type of. You know, it got to that, but you know, we was bigger than that.
Y'all the Dogg Pound.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, what? How can y'all be beefing?
And let's get this thing back together. You know what I'm saying? We ain't never hurt each other. We could have.
Right.
Could have been a lot of that, but we never did that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Back in April 2005, Snoop Dogg held the West Coast Peace Summit to end all beefs, and Kurupt, Daz, and Nate Dogg were in attendance. Right then and there, both rappers squashed their beef, and shortly after, Kurupt left Death Row for the second and final time, and it didn't take long for everyone to hit the booth. In 2006, they released a joint venture reunion comeback project, Cali Is Alive, and the following year, they released Dogg Thank goodness both rappers are still active and working together, as their latest album, WAWG, is planned to be released on Death Row Records, now owned by Snoop Dogg, in June 2024. Since 1992, through beefs, betrayal, and Suge Knight, the Dogg Pound is still standing.
What's up with the Dogg Pound? I heard they broke up.
Oh, what's up with the Dogg Pound?
What's up with the Dogg Pound, man? I heard they broke up.
Is that true?
That's what I heard.
I heard they broke up like two vicious pit bulls. That's what I heard.
After years and years of rumors, disses, and tensions off the scale, Snoop gives us the real facts. Dogg Pound for life, baby. We can't wait to see what's next for these guys, and hope y'all feel the same. We had a blast learning about every aspect of this insane story, and hope you guys liked the video. Shout out to @NXS Productions for giving us inspiration to create this one. We appreciate you, fam, and hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to check out these other videos, and if you like our content, help us out by subscribing, liking, and leaving us a comment, letting us know how we're doing. We appreciate all the support from you guys, and are so blessed to be able to create videos for y'all to enjoy. Thanks for staying till the end, and we'll catch you in the next one.